Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Ducks football.
Touchdown, Oregon. Byron Cardwell. That was quick.
We have to push ourselves to be the best that we want to be.
Pressured, steps up, goes down. Sack Brandon Dorless.
We think iron sharpens iron, right? You want to create that competitive environment. You have to do things that are hard.
Way down for Thornton. He's got it. He's going to score. What a stop by Oregon's Noah Sewell. Oh, what a throw. What a catch. Terrence Ferguson.
I'm excited about the energy that our coaches bring and the energy our players bring day in and day out.
This is the Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by Toyota. Let's go places. Today's broadcast is also brought to you by Country Financial Insurance, protect what matters, and by Pepsi and Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks! Drink Pepsi. Now let's go to the Country Financial Studios and talk Oregon Ducks football.
I'm Joey Mack. He's Mike Jorgensen. Jerry Allen out on assignment tonight. And Dan Lanning, Oregon football head coach, is with us. So we've got a big senior day coming up, a 7:30 kickoff when the Ducks host the Utes at Autzen Stadium. We will look back a little bit and talk about a number of different things. And let's first, Coach, start with what you have for dinner tonight.
Oh, gosh, okay. Let me think back here. I should know this. Pork chop. They had a pork chop down there. And the cafeteria had a chicken thigh. Some rice, some potatoes, not enough greens. If my mom was going to look at the plate, she'd be a little disappointed. But, yeah, it was a good meal tonight down in the HDC.
What was for lunch?
I didn't have lunch.
Oh, Coach.
Some coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
And breakfast?
Some more coffee. I'm more of a I need to do a better job with that. This is a good growth moment here. You're calling me out. I think there's a little Halloween candy in my office. I think I had a couple Milk Duds and some coffee, kind of working my way into dinner.
Well, shout out to you. I want everybody to know that he didn't have a donut on his way in tonight.
Yeah, I did not have a donut.
Or Mounds or anything else over there,
no,
too, so.
I avoided that.
There was a Mounds in there just for you.
Was there?
Yeah, Scott made sure.
All right, well, I might have to
we found
grab that on the way out.
You were a Mounds guy. Well, Coach, look, coming off a tough game, no doubt about it. I want to go back in time with you a little bit and then talk about this senior day coming up. But let's begin with the team's response, Coach, because I feel like that's such a key thing that really only the people inside the locker room are going to know. Can you take fans inside the locker room a little bit after a tough loss?
Yeah, I mean, there's such an emotional investment that's put into every single one of our games, and all the work that goes into really a small sample size in a season. And I think, that there's a lot of emotional highs and a lot of emotional lows within a football season, but the lows are really hard. And our guys were hurting. You want to go out there and you want to perform well and you want to win. And we didn't come away with it this past weekend. That being said, we got a resilient group, and they're motivated. And you play for an uncommon purpose. You play for each other. You play for the guys in that locker room. And sometimes you got to hit the reset button, right? Sometimes you need a little motivation, and then sometimes when you hit the field, that's all you need, right? The chance to go out there and improve on something you can get better at. So I've been pleased with our guys' approach. They're hungry, I think, to get better and to improve, and more than anything, hungry to get another game.
Your leaders are really important at this point in time, too. But, Coach, leaders aren't always the oldest guys on the team or the seniors in their last year. They come from other places, don't they?
Yeah, leaders usually reveal themselves, right? You can designate people as leaders within a team, but the reality is, leaders show up. You don't have to tell somebody that they're a leader for that to show up. It shows up every day in the way they approach their what they do and their work ethic. And we're fortunate to have a good group of them here.
You've talked about this before, how player-led teams are the most successful.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of strategies that various coaches I've talked with employ to get teams to be that way. How do you do that from the top down with your staff, support staff, all the way down to leaders on the team? How do you cultivate leaders to grow in that way?
Yeah, I think first off, it's giving your players a voice, right? Give them an opportunity to have a voice. You have to have some intentional conversations week in and week out. We do our Get Real meetings that we've talked about before where we talk about things outside of football. It's hard within a season to find the time to designate that approach, with your student athletes. So I think you have to keep that at the forefront. You have to use your bye week. You have to use opportunities you get outside. You got to find a moment to just go on a walk with a guy or give a phone call. but our guys do a good job with it. And it's something we're still growing at. We're still figuring it out. And we'll continue to do that, and hopefully we get better and better in our time here.
Adversity, I mean, it's going to happen eventually in life, whether it's when you're a teenager, late teenager like some of these guys, all the way up through life and beyond type of situation. Nobody likes it. I don't like it. Joey doesn't like it, but it sharpens the weapon, doesn't it? Guys have to get better. They have to fight through these type of situations, and it's what makes it better in the long run, isn't it?
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, mistakes, with adversity, with, all those things really equate to another thing, growth, right? An opportunity to get better and grow from situations, and I think our team is anxious to do that.
Now, I want to back up for just a second, Joey, real quick. I wanted to ask you this question. Do you guys hear the fighter jets go over from the locker room?
I did, yeah. That sounded pretty intense, pretty awesome.
Okay, I've always wondered. You're never out on the field for the national anthem.
Is that every game? That's not every game.
No, it's not every game.
Okay, that's what I heard it though.
Those guys hit the afterburners, that type of deal. It was a great show. Obviously, got a lot of people excited, pepped up the crowd. Crowd was amazing again.
Yeah, crowd was great. That's one thing that's been so fantastic all season is Autzen and our fans have been rocking year round. Have done a phenomenal job, and certainly want to see him show up again for the seniors this weekend.
I want to talk to you about that. But first, every fan in the fan base right now, anytime a quarterback gets hurt, comes back into a game, they want me to ask you about that. So how's Bo doing this week?
Yeah, obviously Bo's is a tough kid. You look at a situation, he goes down and is anxious to help his team out, is able to come back, play the last 8 snaps of the game, throw the ball really well, give us an opportunity to be in position to possibly kick a field goal based on how a call was determined, not determined. And, we always put our players' safety at the forefront of our minds. So came back in, really attacked, his rehab this Sunday, and has been able to be out there on the practice field for us this week. We're being really conscientious of him and his reps, want to do a good job taking care of him, but he's preparing himself as if he can go. But we also got some other guys ready to go if needed. And Bo's been really consistent all year in his approach and how he works. But it certainly was comforting as a coach to be able to see him get back out there on the field. There on Saturday and, put down a little reassurance.
For sure. Talk to us about the other guys in the room, the development of the guys that are in that quarterback room.
Yeah, well, it's just a great example of a moment there, within a game. For example, how quickly the next person up's got to be ready to roll. And, Ty and Jay do a great job year-round. I think Coach Dillingham does a great job with the quarterbacks of developing those guys and preparing them for their moments. So in the way we practice, giving opportunities for guys in practice to get better, and those guys have done a good job with that attack.
If I could, I wanted to ask about leadership to kind of bring this full circle. How much do you love as a coach that you have a guy like Bo that comes up to you on the sideline in that situation in a game like that? I mean, that's leadership on display, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. We have a lot of guys in our program that I really see as coaches, as players, right? Bo's a good example of that. Alex Forsythe's a good example of that. But when they can coach it just as well as some of our coaches at times can do, like when they can carry that over to the team, it's always good to hear that message from one of those guys.
There's a lot of big games all season long. Every game is a big game, and I say that plural because you got big games coming up, and yet your job and the team's job as you go through this week is to stay focused on what's right in front of you. Talk about how that's gone so far this week, and again, the challenge behind that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to stay focused, especially with outside noise and all the things that exist. We talk about a horse when he runs a race, they wear blinders, right? And that's really what we have to approach this week with, our blinders, right? And it really starts with just the very first play, right? Have blinders for the very first play of the game, and then hit the reset button and do it again for the second play. So that's the challenge, right? That's always the challenge, is to keep your focus, be able to stay sharp mentally and win the game there first.
Are you a Kentucky Derby guy?
I never been. I mean, I don't necessarily watch it either. I enjoy the event. There was a cool Derby event this offseason, here with the cheerleading squad that was kind of fun. I think my wife enjoys dressing up. I think I'd rather wear like a T-shirt and shorts, but cool. Yeah, it's a cool
Same
deal.
way here.
Yeah.
That's probably a bucket list deal, though. Some point to go to the Derby.
Yeah.
Never done that.
I've gotten the chance when the baseball team was playing in a regional there. It wasn't the Kentucky Derby, but going to and then seeing Churchill Downs, seeing the venue.
Yeah, different.
It's on the bucket list. What else is on the bucket list?
Ooh, I used to think maybe skydiving. I don't know if I'm really as fired up about that anymore. I don't know what else I put on. That's a good question. What's on yours?
Well, if we're thinking just sports, for example, I've never gone to a Super Bowl. Would love to do that. I think that's got to be on the list, right?
That feels like one to me that I enjoy watching it on TV a little bit more.
Interesting.
You're going to miss every commercial if you do that.
That's true. They're all online anyway.
Yeah, they aren't. Let's be honest, they haven't been as good. In my opinion, they used to be like hit some home runs. It doesn't seem like they've been the same the last few years.
I mean, there's always one home run, though.
Yeah, there's always one. There's always a good one.
I'm going to have to talk to you about this off the air because famously, I've actually said this to a lot of people, the best Super Bowl commercial I've ever seen was 1 second long. I can't tell you about it right now. We're going to have to take a break. Come back. Yeah, we'll tell you about it more. Coach Lanning is here. It is the Toyota Coaches Show, brought to you also by our friends at Pepsi. Go Ducks and drink Pepsi at locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. More coming up. Toyota Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Hey, Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
You're listening to the Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. With honest conversations that let them know what we expect. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids. They need to know that they should never be shared with friends or family. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Back inside the Country Financial
the
Studio.
The answer we've all been waiting for, too.
We just somebody, this might just be like a solid 1%er that the folks that are in the Country Financial Studio today get to know about it. I do want to bring something back, though, to last weekend. There was a doubleheader. We asked Coach Lanning about this because Terry Johns was on the call for women's basketball at Matthew Knight Arena, made the trek over for the 2 o'clock pregame show. We said that if he made it in under 25 minutes, there would be spoils for him. He made it in 26 minutes. And, Coach,
great effort.
Great effort, though. Fabulous effort.
I'm picturing him running right now across campus.
I think, so he didn't run across campus. He drove it. Right?
Yeah.
But,
would have been faster on foot.
You think so?
I think so.
All right. We actually didn't have enough people to have one of our interns race you. I'd want you to know I tried really hard to have somebody do that. It didn't work out. Anyway, we continue on the Toyota Coaches Show. Coach Lanning is here. Coach, I did want to ask you one thing that has stuck out to me multiple times when you've talked with us, talked with everybody else, that you always say you're a thumb guy when it comes to pointing. You don't use your fingers, you use your thumbs. You point back at yourself. I wanted to ask you, where does that mentality come from for you? And how long have you always used that phrase to describe how you do things?
I don't know how long I've used the phrase. I guess at the end of the day, my opinion always has been, if you want to be somebody that can actually make an impact, right, then you have to acknowledge that there's a way that you can make an impact and a way you can be better, right? And if you spend your time thinking that you can't make an impact because it's because of other people, then you're always going to be limited. You're always going to have limitations, right? And I don't want to be somebody that has limitations. I want to be able to be the best version of me. I want to be able to have our team perform to the best of its ability. And for that to be the case, that means I have to be able to make an impact in some way. And sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's not. And when it's not, I have to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
A lot of things to take forward this week with Utah coming to town. You got a chance to go back and go to the doctor. Everybody went to the doctor, and then you got to go to work on Utah. Really talented, a team that's headed the right direction too right now, playing some great football, getting healthy. Talk about Utah a little bit.
Yeah, great team. When you look at them, they're a complete team. They play well across the board. I think it starts with their head coach. He's had a lot of success for a long time. Kyle's done a great job. Their team plays with a mentality. When you watch them play, you feel the physicality that they play with. They'll get big. They'll run it down your throat, right? And they're really aggressive on defense. They'll pressure, and they do a good job on special teams. So they're really just truly a complete team, well-coached team that plays with a lot of effort.
Jorgen and I were talking about this before you came in tonight, Coach, that it seems like they're getting better, too. Have you seen that in your film study over the course of the year?
Yeah, I think you see a team that's growing and improving and learning from itself as the season goes.
They had to fight through, some injuries up at Washington State. We're able to figure out a way to win that by playing great defense against an offense that scores a lot of points. But it's a team, like I've heard you say earlier this week, a lot of pressure. It shows in the amount of sacks they have, tackles for loss, third down percentage, which is probably a result of those type of plays right there that put teams behind the chains. Talk about the way that their defense has kind of evolved, because they give up a lot of points to USC. UCLA, and yet lately it's just gotten stronger and stronger, it seems like.
Well, they're a team that takes calculated risks, right? And they're going to pressure, but they're good at what they do. They're fundamentally sound, and they're really good fundamentally as a team. Like, they tackle well, right? They blitz well, and I think that shows up consistently on their film. So when they're hitting on all cylinders, it's going to come down to a one-on-one, and a lot of times they win that one-on-one.
When you were at Georgia, you spent some time, you and your staff, with Utah staff. I heard you talk about that earlier this week. Is that something that's commonly done in college football? And then what did you learn from them when you spent time with them?
Well, I think people that enjoy the sport always want to try to learn from other people, and you hope that you can find some people that you can bounce ideas off of and talk through some things. It really, at the end of the day, they coach a lot of things differently than how I had coached things, but it's good to get a different perspective. Took some drills away that I thought they were really good, and some pressure pass, and I'm sure they took away a couple things that we did that they liked as well. So it's a good staff. They do a great job. But you always want to look for opportunities to grow as a coach, and I think that's an important piece of it.
I think that's really interesting. You talk a lot about growth mindset, how that's such an important focus for you. How often do you look around at what other coaches are doing? Maybe not just in this setting, but even when you're watching film and you're like, oh, maybe that's something we can do. How often does that happen for you as a coach?
Yeah, I'd say most things in coaching are stolen. You've seen it done somewhere else first, right? You've seen somebody else do it and say, okay, that fits us. We could use that. A lot of the ideas that you'll come away with, a lot of that happens in the off season, but during the season you get a little bit of crossover film that you can watch. We watch explosive play cut-ups, for us that we can carry over offensively when it fits. So we're always trying to look for something and grow in that area.
I know we try to not focus in on individual players, but I'm talking Utah's individual players now. And again, it seems like people recognize offensive names sometimes more than they do defensive names. And I've got defensive players here with tackles all over the place. First of all, talk about Cam Rising, the type of player he is on that team. Maybe Tavion Thomas being the second one, and Dalton Kincaid, number 3.
Yeah, so obviously, Cam, everything runs to the quarterback. He touches the ball every snap, right? And he's really tough. He's smart. You can see he directs traffic. He makes checks for him. He's like a coach on the field. And he plays with a level of toughness and effort that you appreciate as a coach watching him. At back, obviously, he's big, right? He can run, but he probably has as much size as anybody we've gone against. This season, you see it. And he probably had one of his best games this last game. He ran really hard. And Kincaid, catches the ball with people hanging on him, right? And that's a special skill set. It's a talent. He's targeted a lot on third down, targeted a lot in the red area, leading receiver, right? So makes them a challenge to defend when it's kind of a three-headed monster.
I wanted to ask you a little bit, too, about keys to this game. And I think that sometimes in questioning and in interviewing, we always try to focus on so many different things. I like to actually ask this general question. Keys to success. What is it going to take to be successful on Saturday?
Well, I think owning the ball is number one, right? We can't turn it over, and we got to try to get it back, from them. So if you can create takeaways, that's always going to be a big piece in this game. We spend a lot of time talking about explosive plays. This has been a team that they'll do the long, sustained drive at times, right? They don't necessarily have, 50 plays over 35 yards, but what they do have is 200 plays over 10, right? So they've had a lot of sustained drives, long drives, big runs. It's going to be about knockback tackling for our defense. We got to do a good job of stopping their momentum. I think they lead the Pac-12 right now in yards after contact. That's a big piece for us. And then for us on offense, we're going to have to be able to be explosive at times. We're going to have to be able to push the ball down the field, take advantage of some one-on-one matchups when they do pressure, right? Make sure that those don't hit home.
Really ran the ball well last week. And, again, you can't carry what you did last week forward to this week other than the confidence that has to go along with that. You guys did a lot of things well last week, and that was one of them.
Yeah, we were able to, it's something we've been able to hang our hat on a lot this season, really. Our offensive line's played well. We've been able to run the ball even in boxes that weren't necessarily advantageous because our backs have done a good job of making people miss and running hard. So something we want to carry over each game.
Talking about the running backs, looking at some of the statistics that we look at on the broadcast side is those yards after contact, and Bucky Irving continues to be so good at that. Noah Whittington's so darn good at that. What about those two guys makes them so good at not going down with the first guy?
Well, one, it starts with how you practice, right? Those guys practice really hard, and they do a good job, in practice. I think that carries over to the games. You want to recreate those moments in practice. Two, is just the level of toughness that they have and are able to operate with, and then balance body control. I thought they did a much better job this past week of hitting their tracks, staying on their tracks at back, and really trusting the O-line to get movement necessary for them to be able to hit some big runs.
You mentioned it early on here in the show, Joey, seniors. Obviously, a lot of seniors going to get honored. You mentioned it, Coach, too, this weekend. Could be, 18-ish or so in that range. And maybe some guys we see again, even though they get
Possibly,
a chance. Yeah, it's big day for those guys. Big day, not just for the team, but obviously all those guys that continue to put in that hard work, and we hope we see some more of them.
Yeah, you talk about sweat equity, right? You talk about how much investment these guys have in the program and the reality of how special college football is, and it doesn't last forever. And some of these guys are going to be walking out in Dotson Stadium for the last time, right? That's a pretty special moment to be taking the field, and we want to honor those guys. They've done so much for the University of Oregon, and we do a good job, honoring them.
Especially I feel like, Coach, I got to say, in today's college football, the landscape, it feels like it's so fluid from a roster management standpoint. Yeah. I just got to say I love the fact that some guys that may get the chance to come back, you do get a chance to honor them, right? You got to take advantage of it when you can, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you don't take anything for granted. You don't never take a moment for granted, but having a chance to honor guys that have worked so hard to earn that, they certainly deserve it.
This is a game where the crowd can make a real impact, huh?
Let's go. Big impact.
Again.
Big impact. Let's make it loud. Yeah, and this environment here has been so special all year. Definitely expecting to see that again on Saturday.
All right, I got to ask you a off-the-beaten-path question.
All right.
Because Jorgie asked you a question that gave us one of the best phrases of the year that you've said. Has, of course, made the rounds on social media, and it's eggs, breakfast, and go whoop ass. Okay. What about a 7:30 kickoff? Do you have a nighttime saying for us?
What would that be like? Okay, breakfast, lunch,
dinner,
right, small snack, restroom break. No, we again roll the ball out. Let's play. Right. We love to play the game. We're excited to get out there on the field. I know that our environment's going to be rocking. It's going to be really special for those guys going to seniors, and I know our guys are going to bring a level of intensity necessary to have some success.
Lastly, Christian Gonzalez is going to be our player guest coming up. What have you seen from Gonzo over the course of this year?
I'll be excited to see if you guys get Christian to talk much. He's not a very talkative guy. He's more of a just show you rather than tell you.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of that. He's done a lot of showing you. He's a special player. He's an even better person. I think he's a guy that's garnered a lot of respect without saying so much from his teammates. I think they see him and they say, okay, this guy, he's got it and he can go. But I can't say enough good things about Christian as a person. He's been such a welcome blessing to our team, and we certainly love coaching him.
Well, this is perfect because we're going to show you something. I feel like, Coach, this is on a NFL draft type of broadcast. They're going to talk all about how he's great in coverage. Then they're going to say, hey, on special teams, he also blocked a field goal. And I want to know, we're going to find out coming up, it hit him in the face mask.
Yeah, so is that poor hand-eye coordination, or is that good? We talk about making a picture window with our hands, placing them down there to the ball. But hey, whatever it hits, we'll take as many of those as we can get from Christian.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, there you go.
Elite get off, right? Yeah. Elite get off. Obviously teams can change their cadence. It's something he has to be aware of. But he did a really great job getting off, straining there, giving us a chance. There he is right now. Did you realize that thing hit you in the head at the Cal game? Yeah.
He did?
We had to have our docs check him on the sideline to make sure he was good. No, been a special blessing to us. And anybody that has any more Christian Gonzalez's out there, we'll take as many as you can here at the University of
All
Oregon.
right, well, you're coming up next. So, Coach, thanks for being here. Really appreciate the time. It is the Toyota Coaches Show. This has been our Coaches
Hey,
Interview.
don't forget your candy, by the way.
Don't forget the candy. Donut, too. Thank you, Coach. Brought to you by Pepsi and locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks, drink Pepsi. We are back in the Country Financial Studio with Christian Gonzalez next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
You're listening to the Oregon Football Coaches Show. Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Meet Ed, movie buff, animal lover, safe driver.
5 years of driving an ambulance teaches you a thing or two. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. When I see a car trying to rush past a turning bus, I get concerned. You see, when big vehicles turn right, they have to swing wide to make the turn. And that's a lesson you don't want to learn the hard way. When trucks and buses turn, let's you and I wait.
It's our roads. It's our safety. Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
I've been driving trucks for a long time, and safety is my #1 priority. I know that my truck has huge blind spots. That's why I remember to check my mirrors often for smaller vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, I'm Joey Mack. Christian Gonzalez is here. Gonzo, thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
So the last time that you were in the Country Financial Studio was Media Day. Mm-hmm. How long ago does that feel like right now?
That feels like a year ago almost. You know, it was, when was that, July? Or
late July, early August, yeah.
It feels like a long time.
Well, since then I became a dad. So
congratulations.
Thank you. But I think it feels probably still longer for you, the way that a football season goes. Do you remember I asked you to do your 2-minute life story?
Yeah.
All right. Do you remember what your time was?
Like 20 seconds.
Yeah. You want another shot at it?
Sure.
Okay.
We'll go at it.
We'll start the stopwatch. The 2-minute life story of Christian Gonzalez. It's all yours.
All right. Born into a family of I got 2 older sisters and 1 younger sister. You know, I was the youngest for about 10 years. And, growing up, I played every sport you can think of, a competitive household, everybody competing at everything, the smallest things. And then, just growing up watching my sisters be successful at what they do, get scholarships and go run track at their schools they chose. And then that was just something that I already wanted to go play football, and then just like living that through them, I got the chance to go on visits and see college campuses early, and then, got to high school and everything took off from there, and now I'm here.
That was way better than 20 seconds. 51.64 seconds.
It's all right.
That was pretty good.
We'll get better.
Hey, I mean, how many people are going to ask you for your 2-minute life story in your life?
Yeah.
I like to think that this is a uniquely Oregon question, but
yeah.
I don't know. What do you think was the first moment where you were like, I love football. This is what I want to do?
The first moment. I'll say Probably in like middle school. You know, it's always a big thing in Texas. You know, Texas football is huge. So growing up, you know, I always wanted to play on. You know, they in middle school they do a 7th grade A and B team, and you know, just like I knew I could play, I knew I was good, and then just making the 7th grade A team, you know, it was kind of like that first like step.
You made
really,
the cut.
yeah. So it was just like, and then going out there and performing, it was just something that I knew. There weren't a lot of fans, you know, 7th grade football, but it was still just, you know, when you love something.
So at that point, are you playing defensive back? Are you playing quarterback because you're the most athletic guy? Like, what were you playing at the time?
Yeah, I was playing running back. Running back and safety. You know, most people play both ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly running back. That's what I grew up playing, running back and receiver. And yeah.
And then tell us about the transition. I mean, right? Because now defensive back, showing up on some NFL draft boards. You know, when was it like, yeah, I could be a good cornerback, I can be a good defensive back?
Yeah, I didn't even really start playing corner until my junior year of high school.
Really?
That's when I really flipped. You know, I thought I was going to be a receiver, and that's what I wanted to be. You know, everybody kind of grows up wanting to be a receiver.
Right. Offensive guys, man.
Yeah, you know, watching the highlights and wanting to score, and then, you know, but then I had a high school coach tell me there's a lot of receivers built like you, but there's not a lot of corners built like you. So once he told me that, I know I kind of struggled with it, but I still played a good amount of offense. I still was always out there in offense, so still had fun doing that. But then I got into it, and then just getting that first offer, that was that first step.
How much does it help you now that you played receiver so much at that level and did it at a high level? I mean, how much does that help you in covering those guys?
Yeah, it helps a lot for sure. You know, I'm able to I feel like I can pick up on tendencies a lot faster than somebody that's never played receiver. I can diagnose what they like to do real quick and just kind of not guess the route because it's, you know, it's all based on film study too, but just I can appear for the plays I like, and those are the ones I like to make.
How do you go about breaking down film? Like, do you have a process that's unique to you? Have you picked up things from other people? How do you go about studying the game?
It's a lot of it. You know, since I've been with Coach Meat, my 3rd year, he kind of really helped me get into it my freshman year, and he just showed me all the little things to where it's like we watched the little things like a receiver rubbing his gloves, or a receiver like fixing his cleat, or like doing the tiniest thing just to like give you the advantage, like, okay, he might be thinking the ball is coming. And then, you know, you just go through each formation, down and distance, and there's so much that goes into it.
It's reading body language, right? It's all those things. That's interesting. Christian Gonzalez with us. I have to ask you about Coach Demetrius Martin, Coach Meat. What's he like? Describe him for fans.
He's one of a kind. You know, he's somebody that cares. He's gonna make you super confident in yourself. And he's gonna be hard on you, but that's because, you know, he really cares, and what he likes to do is he plays through us. So like, obviously his playing days are over, but he like really feels like he plays through us and just is out there with so much emotion, and, you know, it bleeds to us and the whole team. Everybody feels it.
For you personally, how often do you get called Christian on the football field?
Out here, never.
Always Gonzo?
Yeah.
So did Gonzo really take off at Oregon? Or have you always been Gonzo? When did it take off?
In high school, my friend Miles, he kind of started calling me Gonzo, and then I got to Colorado, and it stuck at Colorado, and then since I came here, you know, it's just Gonzo.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to do a little film study with you, if you could. We showed it to Coach Lanning. Your field goal block at Cal. So I made the comment earlier on the show, and even after this game, Gonzo, that I feel like there's going to be a broadcast and an NFL draft, and they're going to be talking about you as a coverage guy, and then this is going to pop up. And it's going to be like, well, yeah, and he can do it on special teams too. I mean, Walk us through this. Like, take us from pre-snap all the way to it hits you in the face mask.
We went over it all week in practice. So it was just and then we got the opportunity to do it, and this was I think like the third or fourth field goal of the game, and I kind of picked up that the snap cadence was holding true to what we went over, and I kind of tested it early with the right tight end, and I saw I could beat him. So we took this time. It was a big time in the game, so I was like, I'm gonna just trust it, and went on the cadence and went, and then it unexpectedly hit me in the face. Probably jumped a little too early, but it's all good.
Well, I think it's amazing to hear you talk about film study, and then in this exact moment, I think there's a lot of people that would look at it and go, man, he just got off on the ball so fast, but it was a little bit predetermined, wasn't it, that you felt like that you had an advantage because of the mental side of the game?
Yeah, for sure.
That's amazing. So have you ever gotten hit in the face mask by a field goal before?
Nah, it was the first one.
Okay. How many field goals have you blocked in your career?
I actually blocked one at Cal last year at Colorado.
Oh, really?
The same exact field.
Did you beat the same guy?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but they called that one offside, so I owed them one.
Okay.
And got it.
Good. I like to hear that. Okay, so as a player, when you block a field goal, that's certainly a great feeling. What feels better, that or an interception?
Ooh. I'm going to say obviously interception.
Really?
Just because, the nature of the position, taking the ball away from the other team is just like, that's what you live for.
Yeah.
But blocking a field goal, that's something that was real fun too, because it's like we pride our special teams on change the game. So I feel like that was something that changed the game, and it was fun, real fun.
It did change the game. All right, we're going to get a timeout. Toyota Coaches Show. Christian Gonzalez is here in the Country Financial Studio. More coming up. We're going to talk a little bit about this Utah game. We haven't even talked about that yet. Still to come on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimate CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Once a duck, always a duck. That's OCCU. Since 1956, OCCU has been the credit union serving the University of Oregon community. With remarkable checking, My OCCU mobile banking, and nationwide ATM access. If you're a duck, you belong at OCCU, where you'll find fewer fees, higher savings rates, and lower rates on loans. And lots of fellow Duck fans. Go Ducks. Join OCCU. Learn more at myoccu.org/remarkable.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimate CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
You're listening to the Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, I'm Joey Mack. Christian Gonzalez is with us on the Toyota Coaches Show. Okay, so I have a few follow-ups for you after I got a chance to think about it during the break. What would 7th grade Christian Gonzalez think of where you're at right now in your career?
He would be amazed, especially now that I'm here at Oregon. I would say every little kid that plays football watches Oregon, just because, for the first part, it's the uniforms. To a young kid, that's what's going to jump out, and that sticks to them. And then once they pick up and understand more of a game, you start understanding culture and how much of a winning culture there is here. And it would just, I think he would just be like with a jaw drop, just one of those moments.
I think I asked you this on Media Day, so I'm going to revise it a little bit. Usually I like to ask on this segment advice for 17-year-old you.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for 7th grade you and then maybe 17-year-old you? Is it the same piece of advice?
7th grade me, I don't know. That's hard. 7th grade me is hard. I don't know.
Maybe
I would
it's
say,
just eat more vegetables.
Yeah, probably.
It could be.
Something like that.
Yeah. All right. Because I think advice for 17-year-old you, has it changed maybe since I asked you that a few months ago?
I don't remember what I said, but I think what I would tell 17-year-old me is don't give up.
That is what you said.
Okay, yeah. It went through a little rough patch at one of my old high schools, so it was something that I'm glad that I never gave up.
Yeah, I think you said something along the lines of like stay the course,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that makes a lot of sense. We were talking during the break a little bit that you come from an athletic family, as you alluded to. So if you weren't playing football, what would you be playing? What would you be doing?
It would be basketball for sure.
Okay, so I don't know if you caught wind of this, because I talked to Dorlis about this,
Mm-hmm.
about who would be on the starting 5 for a basketball team from Oregon football.
Mm-hmm.
I think Terrence Ferguson's probably on the list. He agreed when I asked him. Your name didn't come up from Dorlis.
Yeah. He's never seen me play, though.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you're in the starting 5.
Yeah, I'm putting myself in there.
Who else is in there? Who's your starting 5?
All right, I'm putting me. I'll put T. Ferg in there. I'm putting Bo Nix in there. Bo Nix can play, for real. And let's see.
Gotta have a forward in there somewhere.
Yeah.
If you don't say Dorlis, he's gonna be so upset.
I've never seen him play. I mean, he's athletic, very athletic. I bet he can play. Yeah. I'll put him in there. Get some rebounds.
Okay.
And I'm gonna run up the score, so I'm gonna and have some defense. I'm gonna put Avante Dickerson.
Okay.
He can
right.
play.
Yeah, I like that. We've gotten now like very different starting 5s in the times that I've asked this question. So we're going to have to settle this at some point.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sure.
I'll go back and look through all the high school numbers, because so many of you guys played basketball and football, right? It's got to be, you might know better than me. It's got to be at least 70% of this football team probably played basketball.
Yeah, easily.
That's wild. Christian Gonzalez with us. Can you hear the crowd at Autzen? Like, now that you have gone through some games, I remember you and I talked about this a little bit earlier before you were playing on the Oregon side.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear the crowd? What's the Autzen experience been like?
It's wild, especially last game. I feel like every game's been super loud, but last game, last Saturday, it was almost usually every home game on third downs you can't hear, but that whole game it was like I couldn't hear somebody sitting right next to me. That's just something I think is so helpful for us.
Yeah.
And you hear them for sure.
What's the report on Utah? How do you beat them this week?
We got to go out there and just play physical, tackle, make sure we tackle on the defensive side. Offense is going to do their thing. And for defense, communicate. Like we said, it's going to be loud. And then just finish plays. Their backs are great at breaking tackles, and not even their backs, their quarterback. He's a great player. Super smart, super tough guy. He's gonna play real hard, play with his heart, and the receivers, everybody, they got a great team.
Lastly, I want to ask you, especially for someone with your talent, and I know the dream is to be in the NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the next step for you? How do you get there? How do you go about realizing those dreams?
I'll say, just continue to do what I'm doing, keep playing at a high level, and just continuing to grow. Don't get complacent, and really just growth as a player, as a person, just anything I can get better at, that little thing.
Gonzo, thanks for being here, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Did we miss anything? What else should I have asked you?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think nothing.
One in a row. Christian Gonzalez, everybody. Gonzo, thank you. Really appreciate the time. We're going to get a timeout in the Country Financial Studio. Toyota Coaches Show coming back. Jorgie's game keys. He and I didn't talk about this, so I'm learning with you on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Ready to get back in the game? Great news. The movement experts at Proactive Physical Therapy Specialists can help you find relief and results and keep you off the sidelines. With 16 convenient locations across Oregon and Southwest Washington. Contact Proactive Physical Therapy Specialists today at proactivepts.com to see a physical therapist. Proactive Physical Therapy Specialists, a proud partner of Oregon Athletics and trusted choice for keeping Duck fans in the game.
The ins and outs of all things Ducks. This is Oregon football from Learfield.
The United States Deputy Sheriff's Association is a national nonprofit and the largest non-governmental provider of services to law enforcement. The USDSA assists city, county, state, and federal agencies with free safety equipment donations and officer survival training, along with cash donations to families of law enforcement officers who perish in the line of duty, college scholarships for the children of law enforcement, a citizen awareness program, and more. For more information on the USDSA and how you can help, visit usdeputy.org.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen.
For late nights writing English papers.
For your teen's music taste.
For dinners, where they talk more on their phone than with you.
For the first time, they call you mom.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen, and you can't imagine the reward.
To learn more about adopting a teen, visit adoptuskids.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
We are back on the Toyota Coaches Show in the Country Financial Studio. He's Mike Jorgensen rejoining us. Gonzo was great. Christian Gonzalez, man, that's a really, really good player. Our coach's interview, very bright future. Our coach's interview brought to you by Pepsi, locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks, drink Pepsi. All right, I asked you for game keys. What do you think?
I'll tell you, defensively, you got to be good on the early downs. Yeah. You do not want to be putting Utah, just like we used to say about Stanford at times. It seemed like whenever we'd play Stanford, you wouldn't want to have Stanford gaining 4 or 5 or 6 yards on first down, bring up second or third and short. That's what Utah will do to you. And let alone they've got big play guys that they can stretch the field, and with Dalton Kincaid, the sure-handed, and their leading receiver tight end, they can go to him anytime almost like a wide receiver. But if Tavion Thomas and that offensive line gets going, let alone with Cam Rising, it can be really difficult on the defense. Coach Dan Lanning talked about that. They like to go on time-consuming drives, and then they'll do something else to you along the way. So get off the field, be better on first and second down, and make third down a lot easier.
Finishing plays. I like that Christian Gonzalez said that, right? It's being physical. It's finishing plays. That's getting off the field, isn't it? That really helps.
It is. I mean, whether he's referring to his opportunity to finish a play against Washington on a potential interception or not, I don't know if that's what he's referring to, but those are the type of plays when you've got an opportunity. We saw the very first drive with Washington where they were in 3rd and 13 and had an opportunity to get the Penix, and he made a little move, got outside, runs for 14 yards. Those are your opportunities to make a play when you have that opportunity to do it.
Environment's going to be a big deal.
It is. I just, early on, Autzen Stadium was rocking, and they were having a hard time. Washington was getting the snaps off and the snap count and everything else that went with it. And why not make it this way on Senior Day at Autzen Stadium at night?
Yeah.
Under the lights, it just seems to be louder when that happens. Why not do it this weekend? It's time.
I want to talk about Senior Day. First, a quick timeout. And Senior Day is a big deal for a lot of different reasons. Finishing up the show talking about that in the Country Financial Studio on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. He sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself.
For many military veteran caregivers, their caregiving journey starts earlier in life and lasts longer. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Chris Jakimick, I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA, is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families, and one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, it is the Toyota Coaches Show. Joey Mack in for Jerry Allen tonight, and Mike Jorgensen. We talked about the environment, Senior Day. I want to say one thing that I've been talking about a little bit on Duck Insider for those of you that watch and listen to Duck Insider every week. There's, I think, a good reminder here to be in your seats a little bit early, because the Senior Day festivities begin a little earlier than maybe you're finishing up your tailgater. So be inside Autzen Stadium, because I'll tell you what, this is a senior class that has been through maybe more than any senior class in the history of Oregon football. Coaching changes, pandemic, all the things. It's possible that they've been through more than any other senior class that we've ever had.
Some weird times, I almost want to say. I don't know if weird is the right word, but it just feels that way.
I know. I agree.
And good times, too, by the way.
No doubt.
Yep.
No doubt. And look, on that note, didn't go well last week. And number 12 in the CFP rankings is a little different than number 6 in the CFP rankings. But a Pac-12 championship is still in front of them. The Utes have been in 3 of the last 4 Pac-12 championship games. The Ducks have been in the last 3. Jorgie, I think it's safe to say that in the last 5-6 years, these are the 2 teams that are probably the best 2 in the conference over that period of time.
Yeah, they have been. And the thing is, it makes it, I don't want to say easy. I think every game you're going to get up for, and these last 3 in particular with Washington, Utah, and Oregon State, they're huge games. And you're playing against the defending Pac-12 champs. So they're the ones with the target on their back coming to Eugene, trying to get past this game to have an opportunity at the Pac-12 championship, just like Oregon is at home. And so it's a huge game, but you're going against the defending champs. That's the role that Oregon has played so often. It's nice to kind of reverse that role, but you got to get after them.
Got to play clean.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Got to play clean football. You know, one thing we didn't ask Coach Lanning about, penalties, they've gotten better for the Ducks. I think the last few weeks.
They have.
In a game like this, that could matter. Special teams matter.
Little things. Little things always.
It's always compounding little things that can become a big thing, right?
Yeah, especially in close games.
Yeah, don't want that. Ducks and Utes coming up. 7:30, ESPN televising the game, a 5:30 pregame show with Terry Johns. What else? Did we miss anything?
No, just get your rear end in the seats.
Yeah.
Make
Senior
some noise, have some fun. It's going to be a fun night.
Senior Day. By the way, no coaches show for us next week because we've got basketball, we've got the Thanksgiving holiday, but we are planning for one the week after that. Be ready. For Mike Jorgensen, I'm Joey Mack. Thanks to Scott, Mitchell, and Terry. See you next week.
This has been the Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. Presented by Toyota. Let's go places. Tonight's show has also been brought to you by Country Financial Insurance. Protect what matters. And by Pepsi.